Hello everyone, it's Events Body again with another video, and in this video I would like to discuss sarcoplasmic hypertrophy or cellular swelling. Now, in my other video previously, I've talked about briefly talked about cellular swelling when I was talking about the three main things to consider during your hypertrophy phase, which is the cellular swelling when you're chasing the pump. Lactic acid buildup, which is the short rest intervals, and mechanical stresses, which is heavier loads. Today I really want to talk about highlight more of a cellular swelling part and mechanical stress part with the heavier loads. Now, cellular swelling, how does that happen? Well, basically it's very simple. Okay, cellular swelling occurs when the extracellular fluid around the myofibrils increases. Okay, so myofibrils are the contractile tissue of the muscle. Okay, so imagine these are the myofibrils. Okay, like that. Okay, and they're all like in bundles. Okay, like that. And around that space here, it's all extracellular fluid. Now, extracellular fluid is comprised of the glycogen, water, nutrients, mitochondria and whatnot. Now remember, 1 gram of carbohydrate, 1 gram of glycogen brings in 3 grams of water. So the more glycogen in the muscle, the more water is going to be in the muscle, and the muscle is going to look a lot more fuller. So that is sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. As you can see, that it's pretty much all to do with extracellular fluid. What does that mean? It means basically that it's not directly related, and I'm not saying directly related, it's not directly related to contractile tissue. Now, contractile tissue is the myofibril. It's got nothing to do with myofibrils. In a roundabout way it does, but let's just keep it simple here. Sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is just basically increasing the space. Okay, myofibrils are still there. Okay, so let's say you've got this much muscle, okay, space, and myofibrils are in here, and this much muscle space, and the myofibrils are here. Okay, you're just expanding the space. You're not actually gaining the actual myofibril hypertrophy, which will be responsible for contractile strength. Now, that is why a lot of bodybuilders, most bodybuilders, look great, look huge, but could not compare to a strength athlete. Okay, in terms of strength. Okay, we can't lift what they lift, and I'm not saying all, some can lift just as much as the powerlifters because they cross train, and but most likely the bodybuilder, the first aim of the bodybuilding is to look good. Okay, aesthetics, size, muscle fullness, muscle round, and all that, because on stage no one's going to be asking you how much can you bench. Okay, no one's going to do that. Okay, so your number one priority is hypertrophy. Number two is strength if it comes. Okay, now believe me, if somebody told me that I can grow to Olympia stage, Sean Ray standard or Flex Wheeler standard, because those are the bodybuilders that I really like and their aesthetic bodies. If somebody told me that I can achieve that size just by lifting 60 kilos, I'll be lifting 60 kilo benching. I won't even bother with anything else. Okay, because all my priority is hypertrophy. Okay, if I gain strength, yes, okay, so be it, but it's not really important. For a strength athlete, that's the number one thing. Okay, because they need to lift their weight from A to B. Hypertrophy is their secondary option. If they can look good with it, okay, fair enough. Okay, if not, that really what they want to worry about is lifting the weight. Now, when I said to you not directly related to myofibril hypertrophy, cellular swelling can in turn cause myofibril hypertrophy because of the satellite cells, and I'm not going to get into this too deep. Okay, now when the cellular swelling occurs, it puts pressure on the muscle cell. Okay, it puts pressure on the sarcolemma, and the sarcolemma is what surrounds everything. Okay, now when the pressure starts building up in the cell and outside, satellite cells come in, repair and everything else. Okay, and in roundabout way, those satellite cells can actually impact the myofibril hypertrophy and actually can cause strength. This is why current research has shown that even the 25 repetition ranges will cause strength gains. Now, in terms of the hormonal things that happen during sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is another story, okay, and that we'll discuss that in part 2, okay, hopefully this week or next week, okay, when I have some time, okay. So hormonal impact on all this is also very, very important in the myofibril hypertrophy and strength gains and all that, but right now let's just stick to the basics. So sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, when you're achieving that pump, when you're having those great pumps, okay, that's how the cell swells, and that's how you achieve that. This is why it's so important to have those supplements like citrulline malate to increase the cellular swelling, okay, because you are going to get bigger, okay, no doubt, okay. Now, the second part is the myofibril hypertrophy. Now, myofibril hypertrophy happens at the lower loads, okay? Higher loads, lower repetition. So let's say you're doing 5x5 repetitions. You are most likely going to be causing the myofibril hypertrophy, because I'm telling you right now, if you are benching 180 kilos, there is no way that the muscle will remain the same, okay? There is some hypertrophy occurring even when you don't actually have the pump, okay. There's going to be hypertrophy happening because the muscle needs to adapt to the loads, okay, otherwise it's going to tear. So what happens is the myofibrils are actually, the satellite cells will get onto the myofibrils and it will repair it and get bigger and send signals that it needs to get bigger, blah blah blah, and you are going to achieve the hypertrophy. Now what happens is that the strength athletes can achieve some hypertrophy in that set, but they will never be as big and look as big as the bodybuilder. Now again, if you are cross training, if you're a strength athlete cross training and bodybuilding, that's a whole different thing. I'm talking about pure bodybuilder and pure strength athlete. They will never be as big as bodybuilders. Most of them won't, because the goals are different. So the myofibril hypertrophy accounts for only some part of hypertrophy into the muscle, okay. In order for you to look good, in order for you to look full, you need sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. You need that to happen. You need the shunting of the glycogen and the water in the extracellular fluid, okay, to stretch the muscle, to make sure that you get those great pumps, to maintain those great pumps throughout the week, and to achieve hypertrophy in that way. I'm not saying that you can't also achieve the hypertrophy in the 5 rep range or low rep ranges, okay. You can actually do both, okay. You can actually have both at training. So for example, you might have 5 rep range, and then you can have a 15 rep range or 12 rep range or whatever, okay. Now scientifically what was the scientifically, even before, hypertrophy standard for an athlete, okay, it was the 8 to 12 repetitions, okay. Even for an athlete, okay, off season, they need to put on some muscle, okay. Even German volume training, okay, was about 10 repetitions, okay. So 8 to 12 was the number to increase hypertrophy, okay. That number mostly affects type 2A muscle fibers, okay. Now the type 2A muscle fibers respond mostly in that range, 8 to 12 repetitions, 8 to 15 repetitions, okay. That's where the muscle fibers are most active there, type 2A muscle fibers. And I'm not saying that other muscle fibers are not growing, okay. They can grow, but majority of your hypertrophy will occur within the type 2A muscle fibers. Now what happens, they found, this is long, I think in 1980s, okay, 1986, they found that type 2A muscle fibers have these, predominantly type 2 muscle fibers, and I'm not saying other, but the predominantly type 2A muscle fibers have these water channels called aquaporin 4, okay. Now these water channels help shunt the water into the muscle cell, okay. This is why type 2A muscle fibers, when you are in that rep range 8 to 12, remember, because 8 to 12 will provide that pump, usually that range, or 15, You know, once you provide that pump into the muscle, there's a lot more water coming into the muscle, and guess where it's going? Aquaporin 4 will allow it to shunt into the muscle cell. Type 1 muscle fibers, type 1 muscle fibers, also the slow twitch muscle fibers, have some aquaporin 4 water channels as well. Okay, it's been found everywhere all throughout muscle cells, but predominantly type 2A. Okay, so this is why it's very, very important for you to achieve the pump while you are at the gym. Okay, not all the time. You don't have to do it all the time, because the myofibril hypertrophy happens without you having a pump. Okay, so you can have a slow, controlled 5 repetition range lifts that will cause the hypertrophy in that way. Okay, heavier loads, don't get me wrong, when you're lifting heavy, there's bound to be some growth. Okay, so hormonal things and all these things are happening. Okay, in part 2 video I'll discuss that later on. Okay, and when I have time, but that's pretty much the gist of it. Okay, so the chasing of the pump is extremely important because of the type 2A muscle fibers, because of the aquaporin 4, you know, shunting the fluid in there. And remember, why does the fluid go in there? Okay, the glycogen, when the glycogen goes in, it brings 3 grams of water with it. Okay, 1 gram of glycogen brings 3 grams of water. That's it. Okay, so with that, cellular swelling, what's going on? Pressure, cellular cells come in, blah blah blah, grow. Okay, so let me give you an example of a workout that I'm gonna do today. I just took up my pre-workout, and this is why I'm talking fast. And some of you have said that I talk boring, okay, that I'm slow and like a radio talk host in the morning. Okay, so this is just been an accident, okay, because I normally talk a bit slow, but pre-workout has been kicking in. Citrulline malate, some pumped as F by 5% nutrition. I don't even know. I'm not really sponsored by anything, so really I'm just telling you what I took right now, and some caffeine, so I'm buzzing. So today what I'm going to do, normally this is my Sunday chest routine. I do 2 routines for chest because my chest is the little bit weaker body part. So Sunday chest workout is 5 by 5. Okay, so 5 reps, 5 sets. Okay, so myofibril hypertrophy. Then I do 3 sets of 12, which is the sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, getting the pump. And then I do 3 sets of 30 repetitions, and that's in a tri-set. So one set comprises of 10, let's say 10 chest presses, 10 dips, and 10 push-ups, and I do 3 sets of those, and with a short rest interval. So a lot of lactic acid build-up, a lot of cellular swelling as well. Okay, so 5 by 5, 3 by 12, and then 2 or 3 by 30, which is a tri-set of 10, 10, 10. So that's the workout that I'm going to do today. You don't have to do it all in one go. Okay, you can do one day, let's say heavier loads, 5 by 5s, and then next day you might do 12 repetitions or 15 repetitions or even 20 repetitions to get chasing that pump. Remember when I said to you the 3 main things: cellular swelling, lactic acid, and mechanical stresses. Okay, that is it for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any comments, comment down below. Ask me any questions if you want to ask. Subscribe if you want to subscribe. Until then, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys soon.